Hello again, everyone. It's me, Scrap Dragon, coming back at you with another Reddit reading video. Today we'll be reading r/petty revenge. I mean, I'd like to give an explanation, but the name it's kind of self-explanatory. It's people getting revenge in a very petty way. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Our first story comes from Fresh Nectarine 867. I ate a bag of rich man's nuts so my boss would stop coming into my office and eating the rich man's nuts. It's the holiday, so the company I work for gets a lot of gift baskets from our clients and vendors. I work in a department that, because of the work we do, we rarely get gifts and treats unless one of the other departments shares their gifts with us. Thankfully, someone shared a couple of baskets with nuts, candies, crackers, etc. The VP has been coming into our office almost every day to pick from our gift baskets. He doesn't do this to any of the other departments, and I have seen him get a couple of baskets himself and never shared them. We had an unopened basket and he opened it, then chose the most expensive item, a bag of pistachios, and ripped into it, stealing some of our pistachios, then said, "I love the rich man's nut." This man makes 5 times what I do. When opportunity came for him to fight for raises, fight for, oh, when the opportunity came for him to fight for raises for us, he didn't, and now he's coming into our office and stealing our gifts and eating our rich man's nuts. This cannot continue. I decided that I'm going to eat every single pistachio. I don't particularly like pistachios or nuts, but I am not going to let him come in here and steal my rich man nut. I'm going to eat them all to myself and enjoy every single last minute of it. I've eaten 4 sleeves of nuts. The basket is now empty. My body doesn't feel good, but my pride is intact, knowing that I am full of rich man nut. Well, he cannot take any more. All right, so okay, I know. I need you to word it better next time. Don't say I'm full of rich man nut. It sounds so. It sounds so wrong. But no, that's deserved. Yeah, if you got a boss that's just eating all of your gifts, even though he's gotten his own, like, come on, man. That's an a-hole move. All right, on to our next story. Our next story comes from underscore Raytheist. That sounds kind of bad. Underscore. It'll cost you more than that is the title. I was a sole developer building an app for a client. My manager, let's call him John, has no idea how app development worked and frequently asked questions revealing a breathtaking tech illiteracy that made me wonder whether he'd ever even seen a computer before. He didn't have our backs. He was only interested in pleasing the sales team and the people above him. I was extremely stressed out doing my job to meet impossible checkpoint deadlines with no resources. I interrupted midday to attend a surprise meeting with all of the other developers. We were all laid off, effective immediately. Stop what you're doing, pack your stuff, turn in your badge. I felt a mix of panic and relief. Panic, I'm unemployed. I have very little runaway in savings. Relief, I don't have to do this crap anymore. I don't have to deal with John anymore. F this app, F that guy. I'm not sure if I'll get in trouble for cursing, so I'm being careful about it. I grabbed a box, scrawled Xbox on it with a Sharpie, spelled EX-box, and started packing up. John stopped by my desk and asked if I'd be interested in working on a contract basis to finish the app. I hadn't even left the building yet. John was asking me if I wanted to get paid to do the job I'd just been laid off from. Confused, worried, and still in shock, I told him to get effed. Those aren't the exact words I used. I think what I actually said was, yes. John said he talked to upper management to figure out the details and he'd call me. I went home and dusted off my resume, started job hunting, talking to recruiters, applying, scheduling interviews. A week later, John called. He talked to management and they agreed to pay me a perfectly reasonable amount on a contract basis to complete the app I'd been working on. It was a lifeline that would keep me afloat until I found something else. So I was surprised to hear my mouth saying, I can't do it for that amount. I need more. John sounded stunned and suddenly very nervous. He had to deliver this app, and I was the only person who knew anything about it, about how it worked and the state it was in. He stammered and asked how much I need to get it done. Again, my mouth shoved my brain into a locker and, to my horror, said, double. I need double that. I slapped my hand over my mouth. I'd obviously lost my mind. I was sacrificing myself, spitting on a perfectly good offer, one that would keep me fed and warm under a roof, out of spite and bitterness towards John and the company. Silence. I heard him go pale. What? Double? Okay, I see. I'll go back and ask, but they're not going to go for that. There's no way. Okay, well, let me know what they say. Click. A whole lot of F words. What did I just do? Did I really just wave off that rescue boat? Ugh, I'm so effed. I landed an interview a few days later. It goes incredibly well and seems like a good culture fit. They all but told me they'd be making me an offer. I'm confident I'm about to have not just a job, but a job that is so much better than the one I'd been unceremoniously punted out of a few weeks before. I'd finally start to breathe again. I'm going to be okay. The phone rings. It's John. He sounds happy. He has amazing news. I can't believe this, but management has agreed to pay you double the rate we initially offered you because we really need to get across the finish line. Can you give me an estimate on how long you'll need to finish it? Sorry, John. I can't do it. I've got something else lined up. That's honestly kind of evil, but like, it's fair though. Like, they just kick you out of your job like it's nothing and then expect you to just do it again. I mean, they didn't really expect you. They came and asked, but still, like, kind of an a-hole move. I think it's fair, and I do find it funny that you just shut him down, leaving him to panic after already having to go and ask the management just to see if they can even pay you double. So, good on you. On to our next story. Our next story is from Throw Our Amigos 2024. Interesting name. It seems to be a doozy of a story. It's a long one. Alright. I was promoted above my rude, dismissive colleague and am now driving her crazy by grey rocking her. Not sure what that means. Hopefully I'll get some context to the story. I, female 36, have a colleague, Jamie, female 43. I started 3.5 years ago at our organization, and she came on not long after. I began part-time in my role doing fundraising while she was full-time in administration. We're on a team of 7 people, so pretty small, and the only fundraising person there. Our organization is probably around 50 or so altogether. At first, things were good. We shared an office, bantered, talked about our weekends, and a little casual life stuff. Totally friendly vibes. Then a year ago, I started sensing a power dynamic shift. I was growing in my role and started to take more initiative and even being part-time. At this point, she started leaving me out of important fundraising-related meetings and conversations, despite her not having any fundraising expertise. Expertise. And an entirely unrelated role. Anytime I tried to get information or a reminder to include me, she would either talk around the issue, do it once and then forget, or ignore me altogether. She would also put wildly inappropriate numbers in our budget and resist any feedback from me about how to adjust them. One time, in a meeting, Jamie spouted some clearly inaccurate, wildly overblown fundraising numbers, and I gently corrected it, saying something like, to clarify, we're still in discussions about these numbers, so things might shift. She turned to me with a nasty expression and shut me down by whispering something rude that only I could hear. For various reasons I won't get into it, going into her cynical, checked-out boss wasn't a good option, and HR doesn't really exist at our org. My part-time role meant I also had little power. I decided to start looking for a new job. But then, a full-time person on a different team had to take medical leave, and I offered to step in and cover some of her work for a month. Well, for a few months. Ultimately, I was offered her job and moved into a full-time position. The org even let me help rewrite the job description so I could continue doing some fundraising plus her job, and have my own assistant to share the load. It was a big promotion for our kind of non-profit organization. I even got my own office while Jamie had to keep sharing with 2 other people, which I'd admit felt good, and while I'm not totally sure, I'm pretty certain I'm making more than Jamie now too. Now Jamie only gives a half smile and a curt, hey, when I arrive at work. I don't even stop by her office to say hi or good night, we only speak when necessary. I also started signing off all my emails with best instead of thanks, and am completely boring and neutral professional around her. Meanwhile, my new assistant, for whom I wrote this job description and got help interview and hire, is absolutely fantastic. I took her out to lunch the other day to celebrate her first few months here, as she was about to go back into her office, and she now shares with Jane. She now shares. Let me try that again. As she was about to go back into her office, she now shared with Jamie. She asked if we could go do lunch more regularly. I said, sure, let's make it monthly. Jamie was in there to overhear the whole thing, and I honestly hope she did. She ain't getting any lunch with me. That's something you gotta earn by being a good colleague, and she's been nothing but dismissive and disrespectful to me. I can tell it's getting to her. She has been overperforming friendliness to me, fishing for me to get chummy again, and sharing news of any tiny donations coming in as if we should be jumping up and down screaming like children at recess. I'm always extremely calm and cordial to her, and always collaborative in meetings. She continues ignoring my emails where I remind of something or give a directive without a question. I know I'm getting under her skin, and she knows I have more power now. I would never sabotage her, but it feels good knowing she feels intimidated and unstable. She should. It is what happens when you're an insecure rule colleague at work. Honestly, it sounds like this Jamie person kind of got what was coming. The second she started really feeling the power, she just started shutting you down immediately. I think it's entirely fair what you did there. And it was a good bit of petty revenge because she just gets to sit there in her stewy unhappiness because she's not the one getting lunch with you now. I've got one more story for you today. This one comes from Spooky Ookie Kitty Cat. That's a fun name. Neighbors try to own the entire street in front of their house. I'm the first neighbor to not let them get what they want. Not as petty as other posts here, but I can aspire to improve. My neighbors to my left have been hellish old crazies since I moved here 5 years ago. We were cordial up until last summer when the 70 to 75-year-old husband did the jerking off motion to my partner, for the second time, mind you, because his friend had parked in front of the guy's house for 24 hours. Bachelor trip. Note, even with our friend parked there, both the husband and wife neighbors could also park their huge truck and Jeep, so there's tons of room, especially since the house on the other side of them doesn't have cars, so they can park in front of her place too. But whatever, keep peace and all, so we don't park in front of their house, if we can help it, just because they aren't worth our time. But I knew I was done pretending to be nice. Yesterday, Martin Luther King Day, I heard a knocking on our door at 8 a.m., but it was a holiday and I was off work, so I kept sleeping. Later, when my partner had to say that word, I'm going to spell this word because I'm not really sure how to say it. It is Pageantry. Back to the rest of the story. And threw up a peace sign and left hip leaned towards their house. They have cameras covering every square inch, and the one our front also covers my entire lawn, so they saw. I also called the non-emergency line and asked to speak with the officer who came to my residence. Told him the story, and he laughed and sighed, saying that he was never going to ticket me, and when he told our neighbors he was grumpy and pissed off, they even offered to do house checks for us since we leave for our honeymoon soon. Neat, right? So a few hours passed, and suddenly there's a cop car in front of the neighbors. He called once again and showed video to the cops, but he tried telling him I was flipping him off versus doing a peace sign. Thankfully, the cop is smart and knew the difference. Cop comes to our house. I let him in and tell him the numerous threats, fear-mongering, aka how he also tried lying that this guy was going to ticket me, and how he acted so disrespectfully and immature to us that I was done pandering to these old people. Our neighbor to the right has also had issues with them, more racially, as our a-hole neighbor is a racist and they are brown. So we are on the same page. I explained that I know the cop is an innocent in this and is playing middleman, but since I am doing nothing illegal or morally wrong, I will continue to park how I want. The cop alluded to continuing doing did I say the carp? The cop alluded to continuing doing what I was doing and make sure to avoid things illegal, and I agreed and thanked him. Not super petty, I know, But this is the start, I bet. I'm going to keep parking 1 foot from their Jeep behind in front or of my house. In front of their Jeeps behind in front of my house. I read that wrong. Also, over our apron to our non-existent driveway. I think that's how you say it. I'm assuming it's apron. And let him raise his blood pressure. Can't be good for his health in the long term. Also, if the cops keep being called on me for legal doings, I will stop opening the door and be sure to file a harassment/restraining order. The cop knows these people well, since they call many times for other nonsense, and our neighbors to the right had to call them on the neighbor. Our neighbors on the right had to call them on the other neighbors because they were threatening them and their kids. Not only was it like this, right? We plan to move in 1 to 2 years anyways, but WFH, I don't know what that means, and take joy in stirring pots, as you see. These guys, I'll be honest, at least in my personal opinion, these neighbors, they just sound, at least the one neighbor at least, just sounds like a crabby old man that wants his way and he's just not getting it. Like, they sound like really annoying neighbors. Definitely not the type I want to be around. And no, not all neighbors are like this. I have great neighbors myself right now. They're all amazing. Alright, and that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed listening and watching. I'm sorry for there being no audio on the gameplay footage. I forgot to record the audio with it. That's my bad. If I figured out how to correctly play music without, copyright issues, you'll probably would have heard that the whole video anyways. But on the other hand, if you have any other game recommendations for me to play as background, let me know. I have plenty. I just do White Knuckle because it's one of the ones I'm best at and I enjoy playing a lot. But I have games like Haste, Risk of Rain. So I can do Splatoon. I got a lot of games. Literally just give me any recommendation and I'll try it out, see what I think. Otherwise, I thank you for your comments, especially that one that complimented my gameplay last time. That meant a lot to me. And I hope you have a great rest of your day or night or whatever you may be doing. See ya.